a citizen before patient on the disease management. Okay, so and by disease management we mean how we can use AI or new developments on AI to improve the quality of the disease management. Not only treatment and diagnose, but also prevention. For example, we are looking into secondary care data that is stored at hospital level. And that data comes with a challenge because it's data that is collected daily, and that represents the context where the population lives. So it needs AI that is able to, or artificial intelligence that is able to address not only multi-data sources, because you have different types of data that is provided from lab samples, to clinical diagnosis, to assessment, so on and so forth, but also to integrate that diversity of data to create a clear understanding of would be a disease path for a certain individual. So we are taking this from the hospitals, and we have a couple of collaboration with different hospitals in different areas or in different diseases, and then we are trying to understand those models, how those models can be used to inform the patient, to take an action on its own disease or in its own problem. Okay.
So I'm a computational scientist. I'm responsible of developing the tool that we're using for classifying diseases using abstractions. In the nearest future, the goal is to realize a system able to classify this kind of diseases in a very transparent way for the clinicians and the patient to have a very clear picture of what is happening, why the machine is taking a particular decision, and what are the aspects they can work on to change the diagnosis, for example. Our model looks at every particular characteristic of a person independently and tries to estimate how likely that characteristic is to appear in a particular disease. Of course, this per se is not enough, because this characteristic can work together for a particular disease. So it's not just enough to have high sugar in the blood for having diabetes. You also need to have a set of different characteristics in a person to develop diabetes. So then we link these characteristics together to show how these characteristics interact in a disease. And this works better than traditional models in terms of performance. We have proven on clinical datasets that this is able to provide a very good classification scenario. The idea is that this tool will be used for helping clinicians, not for replacing them, to understand better and more quickly what a patient has before making a diagnosis. Because of course, clinicians have to deal with a lot of data in a very short time when they see a person. Having this system able to point to the elements that are more relevant for a particular diagnosis for a person before the visit is actually helpful for having the most effective diagnosis outcome.
Our target is 2026. At the moment, what we have is a very good stratifier. So we have a couple of tools that we call CATUS, that we just published. We have the paper under review on ACM, and that we demonstrate that is a very good classifier for stratifying diseases. So stratifying diseases means that you can classify an individual in a certain disease stage. So healthy, sick, or going to be sick, so on and so forth. We are in the stage where we have this stratifier. We are publishing a couple of papers that demonstrates the capability of that stratify, and we are going to start a project with a hospital here in Poland that deals with allergies, where we are using that stratifier to try to address the allergies diagnosis and management. There is this team integration between different knowledge, so everyone has a contribution of different knowledge, and that's something that makes us unique. So we are working together towards solving a problem together. So it's on that context. And the problem is disease management and improving of quality of life of the patients.